Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome at another episode of AI Talks Live. Just as every week, we have another guest, and this time it's Josh from Kenya. Hi, Josh. How are you doing? Good afternoon,
Hi,
everyone.
Sammy. How you doing? I'm doing well.
Josh, I couldn't hear you.
Hello, hi.
Why am I? Okay. I'm sorry. My fault. Just give me a second. All right, Josh. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. How are you doing?
I'm fine. I'm happy to have you on board for another episode of AI Talks Live. Josh,
Okay.
can you tell something to the public about yourself?
All right, so my name is Josh. I am an electrical engineering student at Dedan Kimathi University of Technology in Kenya. I'm also a young individual that is passionate about artificial intelligence and Internet of Things. And I basically believe that most of the challenges around us in our communities can be solved by technology. And that's what I strive to do every day, to solve challenges around me using technology.
Cool. That's like everyone who's really interested in technology would like to do this kind of things.
Yeah.
You mentioned before already to me that you also had a little part at Build. Maybe you can share that with us?
Yeah, so I was part of the panel session at Microsoft Build, talking to students on how they can participate in hackathons and how they can make the most out of hackathons. Because actually, I learned a lot about AI and IoT a lot in hackathons. So that was what we were talking together with our student partners.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Well, it was an amazing build we had again with a lot of new stuff that came and that we're happy to work with.
Yeah.
Okay, Josh, you're here to talk about AI as the new normal. So, with
Yeah.
this, I'm just going to give you the platform and let you present your session.
All right. Today's session I'm just going to talk about AI is the new normal. Basically, the inspiration behind this talk was like I'm an individual that has used artificial intelligence a lot in my life, solving challenges around me. And in case I have anything around me that feels like a challenge or feels like it's too much to do, I basically just get to my PC and try building a solution around that. So basically, my talk about this, I'll be sharing one of my projects and show you the thought process on it and how I use different AI tools to come up with a solution, and especially on Microsoft Azure. So some background about some background about my session for today is a project I worked on from last year around June all the way to December. This is a project called Wild Eye. So this was a project which I did participate in the Microsoft Imagine Cup 2020, and this project made it to the Europe, Middle East, and Africa regional finals, where it emerged as the first runners-up. So basically, this project is an AI and IoT project that leverages much of Azure products. And basically, what it does is it helps reduce, or rather, it helps address the challenges caused by human wildlife conflict, especially in my community. I come from an area in Kenya where uh, human wildlife conflict is rampant. So, like, day in day out you'll hear of maybe someone who was killed by a wild animal, or crops and property that were destroyed by wild animals, or even cases where human beings poach these wild animals. And so to me this was a personal case, and together myself and two other colleagues from my school, Clinton and Julia, we put together this solution to address this challenge. I'm not going to go into the technical part of how this solution works, but I'm going to walk you through how we came up with this solution and the thought process, the choice of the different technologies, especially in artificial intelligence. Not going to be talking about the IoT part, but I'll focus much on the AI part. So how we chose the different toolings on Microsoft Azure, and why we didn't choose other solutions. And by the end of this session, I just want to show you how Microsoft Azure provides an array of tools that are available to you as a developer and that are very easy to use. I'll be doing some short demos here and there just to show you the choice of different tools and why we chose some and why we didn't choose others. Um, just to highlight some of the few challenges that we, or rather some of the key goals or we wanted to achieve with this solution, is that we wanted to have model that a trained model that can be deployed in wildlife protected areas. So this is not a solution for use in areas that have maybe a high, or rather a stable internet connectivity. These are It's a model that will be deployed in areas with poor connectivity, because wildlife protected areas are areas that have poor connectivity. And the other thing we were looking at is having a model that can be trained to be able to interact with the real life, or with the real world images. So because it was a camera trap that is able to identify an image or identify a human being or identify a ranger or a vehicle, and then it's able to get these inferences and then send them to Azure. So we wanted it to be able to work very easily with the real world. And so those were the key goals we wanted to achieve in the choice of our tools. You know, a model that can interact easily with the real world, uh, in a way that it's trained with images in the real world, and number two, a model that can be deployed in areas with poor connectivity. And so to start off, we had an option of several tools from Microsoft Azure, and we had either to choose between Azure Custom Vision, Cognitive Services, ML Studio, and data science virtual machines, or and even the normal virtual machines on Azure. And I'll walk you step by step why we chose until we chose the final tooling which we used for this project. So I'm going to stop presenting this and share my browser. Just a minute. So, Sami, you can tell me once you can see my screen.
I can see your browser.
Okay. So the first case we wanted to, the first thought that came into our mind was the use of the Azure custom Azure custom vision. And so custom vision allows you to upload your images, and then you can tag them, and then you can train your model. So I'm just going to open custom vision, vision.ai. So this was our first choice. We are going to maybe create a custom vision project, upload all these images, and then we can train our model and see how it works. And so this is the landing page of custom vision. And so we decided, okay, fine, we are on custom vision. We need data for this model. So where do we get the data? And so like we just thought to ourselves, okay, maybe we can just like get data from the web. And so I'm just going to show you how we created a small test and see whether this is a viable solution, creating it on custom vision and then getting images maybe from Bing, uploading them and training it and see how it performs. So we decided to give that a shot. And so what we did with that was like we went to Azure portal, and from the Azure portal, we created a Bing search. We created first we created a resource for the Bing API. So that's what I'm just going to do, create a resource. I'm just going to search for Bing API, or just let me search for Bing, and then select the Bing search, create it. It should take a should take a short time to do this. I'm just going to call it AI demo. I'm going to select my subscription. Pricing tier. I'm just going to go with the third one, the resource group. No, let me use this one here. Okay. One work. Okay, and then create. So these will go ahead and create a Bing, the Bing search, which we can be able to get the API keys and use it to download images, because we wanted to download images in bulk, several images at the same time. So this going to go ahead and do the deployments. Just going to give it some time until it finishes to do that. Right, it just did complete, so go to resource. So after creating these, the next step is just to download the images and upload them to custom vision and see how that one performs and see. So this was our first step. If this works well, we're just going to use the custom vision for our project. So I mean, if this really fulfills or this meets our goals at the end of the day, what we wanted to achieve, then we're going to use custom vision. So after creating that, I guess I'm just going to share the whole entire window so that I can be able to maneuver around. Okay, entire window. I'm just going to share. Yeah. Okay. So like that. So after creating that, the next step was like we just download the images. So I'm just going to pull up my terminal and I'm going to use an open source tool to do the download of images. Let me show you the tool that I'm using to do that. It's um it's an open source tool known as the Bing image and custom vision CLI. So this is the tool that I'm going to use to share to download the images. So back to my terminal, I'm going to navigate to the project, which is, let me see, and then what I'm just going to do is to run the project and download the images and see whether it works. And then upload them to custom vision, train and see whether it works. So I'm going to now run the project, so I can just do a, so it's a .NET Core project. So I'm just going to do a .NET run. We just run, and then going to ask for the API key, which we are going to extract. So it requests for the Bing API key. So I'm going to get that API key from this project that we created on Microsoft Azure. So if I go to keys and endpoints, and then I can just copy that key, and then I'm going to paste it there. Oh, just didn't copy the right thing, sorry. I'm going to copy the key. Hopefully it copied. Then go back to the terminal, and then I'm going to paste it there. Good. And then okay, so in my case, the animals that the some of the animals that were really causing uh chaos in my area were elephants. So we're going to start off with elephants. So I'm just going to search for elephants, and then I'm going to set a destination path where I can save these images. So I'm going to save these images inside here. So I'm just going to come here and copy the link and then paste that in. Then it's going to search for images, and then it found 30. So by default, it starts off with 35 images. Oh, some errors downloading, but nonetheless, it did download some images. So coming from here and seeing the kind of images we were able to extract from Bing image CLI, these are the kind of images. Some, yeah, good one. But you see, in my case, these might not be the best images to train my models with. So it was like that one. So these were the images like Bing CLI is able to pull, and so it does a pretty good job getting those images, and I can even upload these images to custom vision. But the moment it got to this point and we saw the kind of images we are able to get using the Bing CLI, we decided we might have to explore another alternative. Uh, and so because we couldn't be able to use these images for the training. And so in that case, we went back to try and see whether there is any open source data we can use for this project. And so after searching for quite some time, we came across the snapshot Serengeti. Just going to pull up that URL here. The snapshot Serengeti. So the snapshot Serengeti dataset. So this dataset, it contains actually very many images. And so after exploring the data and the information in each season, because the data in this dataset had been arranged in season, after exploring, we found that season 5 and season 6, they suited our needs. But as you can see, that's quite a lot of data. I'm not sure. I can try zooming in. As you can see, whatever we were using for, which is season 5 and season 6, that's a very that's it's too large. And thinking of like downloading it on my PC and then installing and then uploading it to custom vision, that would have been really hectic for us. And we were still starting out, we were still learning on how to use the different tooling on Microsoft Azure then. And so we found out, despite the fact that season 5, season 6, they have some amazing images which we can use for our project. Uploading these images to custom vision wasn't really a good, wasn't really the best way to go about this. And so we just decided we'll not be using custom vision for this scenario. So we actually didn't even proceed further to do the testing, to do the training, because like uh, it wasn't possible for us to do this. And we actually thought about downloading the images and then on a virtual machine, extracting them and all of that. But we saw that might be a huge process, because once you come to custom vision, let me show you what happens is like, if I was to create a new project, and then maybe just call it demo one, and it's a classification problem, and we use the multi-class and the domains. I'm just going to use general, create a project. One of the challenges that we experienced was the tagging of the images. How are we going to tag all these images? These are thousands and thousands of images, because we might as well be able to go ahead and upload all these images. Let me try. uh, Images, elephants. Let me just upload a few and show you what I mean. Yeah. Then I'll have to tag. So I'll then adding the tags. And in some scenarios, the images on from snapshot Serengeti, they have more than one they have more than one animal in it. So the challenge was, how are we going to tag all of these images? Despite the fact that we have a challenge in uploading, we'll also be having a challenge in ensuring all these images are properly tagged. And so to avoid all of that challenge, we just decided custom vision is a cool tool, but the challenge we have at hand, we might not really go to use custom vision. So we went ahead and thought again, what is the other tool that is available on Azure for use on for to use all this huge data, because now we have the data. The first challenge was like, we had thought we might use Bing CLI, and we might use Bing and download the images and use them to train, but Bing didn't give us the best images that we needed. So we went ahead and got the data that we needed, but it's huge. So we might not be able to use custom vision. So the other alternative might have been like, we train our own model. But at that point, we still had we have a short period of time about setting up the virtual machines and the cost and everything. And we came to think, what if we try using something like the custom no sorry the computer vision from Microsoft. So we just decided to explore to Microsoft. We have the Azure custom. the Azure Computer Vision, not Azure Computer Vision. So with computer vision, you can be able to, you don't need to train a machine learning model. We could just send our images directly to computer vision. Um, we can be able to learn about computer vision from here. And what we realize is that you have to send images to computer vision for it to do the analysis, and then it gives you the inferences from that. But from our from our individual problem was that from our initial problem was that the our products will be running in areas where we don't have strong internet connection. Connectivity is an issue in wildlife protected areas. So once more, we couldn't use the cognitive services, and we couldn't use custom vision. Those were two services from Azure that we couldn't use at all for this project. So the next option on the table was the Azure Data Science Virtual Machines. So I'm just going to maybe pull a link about the Azure Data Science VMs. So with the Azure Data Science VMs, these are virtual machines that are already pre-configured. They're data science virtual machines that are already pre-configured for machine learning. So they come in with the different environments that have been install the different frameworks from, if it's Keras, TensorFlow, CNTK, they are all installed, and then you just write code. And because we had experience with writing our own custom code for our own machine learning code, we decided then we might have to give this a trial. But remember, we have a challenge with the huge data. We the data was approximately close to more than 700 gigabytes. So we thought this might be the best solution to go with, the Azure Data Science Virtual Machines, where we create our own data science VMs and we write our own code. It will be easy to even to manipulate the different images. We will have more control with the data science virtual machines. And so our next search was, what kind of data science VM will be appropriate for this solution? And so after doing our research for quite some time, we came across the N series virtual machines, which we used for our solutions. In precise, we use the ND virtual machines, which are optimized for compute. And so um, I would have wanted to create to show you a demo of how we went ahead creating, but I had a challenge trying to let me show you. I had a challenge trying to access the I had a challenge trying to access the to create the virtual machines. They are not it's not available on my subscription anymore. Let me try show you the process. So as you can see from this link, we decided to go with the N series virtual machines. So the N series virtual machines, they allow you to, and sorry, processing the ND series, they are compute optimized, and they're only available in East US and South Central US. And I tried creating that for today's demo, but my Azure subscription couldn't work, so I'm unable to do that demo. But what that does is that these these virtual machines, they come in configured with they have GPUs. They have GPUs uh, for and optimized for optimized for deep learning, uh, essentially optimized for compute. So the process to create the data science virtual machine is pretty easy, just like you've seen creating the other resources on Azure. It was like just creating a resource and then just going to, you can just search from here, the data science VM. So data science virtual machine. So I prefer Windows. I'm an individual who has been using Windows for a very long time, and so even for our project, Wildlife project, we just use the data science virtual machine running Windows. And as you can see, it comes pre-installed with pretty much everything that you need. Just going to zoom in this. It comes pre-installed with pretty much everything that you might be needing for your development, for building for building your AI solutions. And so went ahead and created these. The moment I'm unable to do that, was just select a resource group there. We had checked here, so it's only available in East US and South, yeah, and South Central US. So you can just select East US, select a size, and then you can just search for ND. When I'm unable to do it, it's unavailable in this location for this subscription. I'm not sure why it's no longer working with my subscription. But that's something I can check up later. But yeah, so we selected for a particular case, we had used the ND, this one here, the ND224S. So this is the data science VM that we used for the for building our solution. So after the configuration and after successfully creating your virtual machine, as you can see, let me just pull that out again. As you can see, it has GPUs. It comes with 4 GPUs. So the next process after creating the virtual machine was to activate the GPUs. So there is a whole process about how to. Microsoft has provided documentation on how to go ahead by installing the CUDA toolkit. If you can just check the N series VM, um, N series VM driver setup for the driver setup for the N series VM. It's the documentation on how to go ahead and activate and install the GPU drivers is available, because like once you install, one of the challenges we had is once we installed the or rather once we created and deployed the virtual machine and we tried running our machine models, we had an issue whereby like the GPUs were not being used. Every time we tried running the training, and we had configured TensorFlow to use GPUs, multiple GPUs, it didn't work. So that's when we realized we had to install the NVIDIA GPU drivers, and so we just followed these resource, and after that, it worked. It worked easily. So this was the next step we did. So after deciding not to use the cognitive services and not to use the custom vision, we decided to settle on using the Azure Data Science virtual machines. After training the machine learning model, we exported it to an Onyx model. We exported it as an Onyx model, which was later consumed on our device, which we deployed to the wildlife protected areas. So that was how we arrived at our that's how we arrived at our decision to use the Azure Data Science virtual machine as opposed to using the other services, which are the computer vision and custom vision. And when I'm giving an example with this, our solution was geared towards dealing with images. So we couldn't have gone for maybe other solutions, because our focus was on images. So we had focused on using custom vision and cognitive services, or we create our own model. And at the end of the day, after seeing the capabilities in each one of them, we settled down on the we settled down on the Azure data science virtual machines. Sami, is there any questions so far?
No, there's no questions at the moment. If there's any, I will pop up.
Okay, yeah. So pretty much that is it about how we came to the selection, how we arrived at the conclusion on the choice for our project. So just going back, go back. Okay. So there are questions on why
Are you sharing
there are questions.
something, Josh?
Pardon?
You're not sharing anything, eh?
Yeah, not yet, not yet. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So there. So as I've explained, that's how we arrived at our conclusion. So there are questions on why did we decide to go ahead and use Microsoft Azure and not any other tooling outside there. For us, it was because Microsoft Azure was really easy for us to use, and as I had mentioned, I'm also a student, and so as a student, Azure gives us free credits for use on the cloud, and so having the free credit, it was easy to prototype the solution and have the model ready and for deployment because by around December we were ready for deployment and we conducted some few tests in the conservancy just to see how the device functions and to see how the model performs. So Azure was a perfect choice for me, for us as a team because we are students, and it was the reason why we leaned heavily on using the tooling on Microsoft Azure, and it turned out to be easy to use and easy to learn, especially the learning process for deploying the different services, especially for the data science virtual machine. None of us had created a data science virtual machine before. It was very easy to use, and it coming with pre-configured environments, it was an easy solution for all of us. So yeah, that's that's it for my end, Sunny.
Cool. Thank you very much, Joshua, for this interesting session. Well, there's a was it? I think it was one of the videos last year on Build where they tried to build, well, where they built it actually a model. I think it was to recognize snow leopards or something.
Yeah,
It's a bit the same what you wanted to do, but then with elephants, no?
yeah. So it's
Yeah,
pretty the same way to do. Yeah,
yeah, yeah. Well, it's a good way to keep track of them, eh? And then, but I think if you would put like in Serengeti in Kenya or in Masai Mara, those kind of cameras that could catch them, well, take pictures of them, I think, yeah, might get some quite interesting information out of it, or even being able to keep pouchers out of it, pouchers, yeah, something like that.
yeah. Because that was actually the main goal. Was like our end goal was to ensure wild animals are safe and human
Mhm.
beings are safe, and both of them can exist peacefully.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, true, true. It's it's always nice to find also a way to embed AI and to use, well, to protect nature, to also see there what the possibilities are. It doesn't always need to help us as human beings
true,
to enhance our life, but it can also enhance the life of for animals or to learn new things out of it.
true.
So that's really cool. Okay, Joshua, thank you very much for your session.
Yeah,
I enjoyed it. I appreciated it.
yeah.
We do not have any questions at the moment. We have some viewers. If they have a question, please don't hesitate to ask on the YouTube chat, or I'm also streaming at the moment on Twitter Live. So if you have any questions, don't hesitate to ask there. We'll still stay here for a couple of minutes.
Sure.
In the meanwhile, also next week we have another speaker, and then we have Charles Sterling. He's a Microsoft employee, and together with someone else, and I forgot the name now, so I'm sorry for that person. Charles is US based, but it's gonna be a double hosting with someone from Paris. And they're going to talk about new and exciting stuff and AI Builder. So that's a part of the Power Platform. So looking forward to that also. Okay, so no questions are coming. So we'll keep it then with that. So again, Joshua, thank you very much. Everyone who's watching this now or later, thanks for joining, and we hope we can see you next time.
Bye.
Hey, my name's Akansha Malik and I'm from Melbourne.
Exit Sami in Balhill.
Hi, I'm Alan Smith.
Hi, I'm Amy.
Hey, name is Tess. I come from
I'm
Spain.
Prasant from California.
大家好，我是卢建辉。My name is Lance.
I'm Fakasi from Australia.
Hi, I'm Jennifer Marsman from the United States.
Hi, I'm Arpita Gupta from India.
Hi, I'm Matthew Renton from the USA.
I'm Josh Bizak from California. Hi, Medin Ali Daoud from Ghana.
Hi, I'm Ana Famana.
Merhaba, ben Türkiye'den Daron Yönden.
Hi.